Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Content Crowd. The Content Crowd is a show where we explore what makes content resonate, from creative habits to point of view shifts to behind the scene breakdowns, so that listeners and also me can stop mimicking others and start making something that matters. I'm going to go straight into an ad read, which is totally different, but I want to get it out of the way because I want to save all the time for Kate today. Just have to mention that this podcast is sponsored by Scrappy ABM, and on August 7th, we're running a live workshop called ABM in a Day. And yeah, the name is literal. Like, you'll walk away with an ABM program planning roadmap built with our team in just one day. And so this isn't like a webinar or some pre-recorded click-through thing. It's like we're actually handing you the exact process that we've used with 30 plus companies in the last year to finally get ABM right. And normally this thing would cost like $14,000, but for this day only, we're giving it to you at no cost whatsoever. So save your seat at scrappyabm.com/workshop, and I'll drop the link into the chat as well so you can schedule. So yeah, join us on August 7th, and we'd love to see you there. Now that's over with, we can jump right into the real conversation. I'm here with my wonderful guest, Kate Erwin. Kate, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sitting through my very first ad reads.
Of course. Thank you for having me. And I'm a big Scrappy ABM fan as well, a big Mason fan. He's a bud. So yeah, just definitely I'll be there. So definitely show up.
Yeah, I definitely think, I'm glad you mentioned that, but it'll definitely be worth it. If not, if it's just listening to Mason and a few other Scrappy people talk for a whole day, if you can, I think it's pretty interesting. Mason might say otherwise, but I think it's a good fun time. But yeah, so let's go ahead and already introduce you, but let's talk about what you do and what you tell people that you do when they ask about it at parties.
Ooh, that's really tough. I actually played a game, 4th of July, had a family party, and I played a game where I recorded my family's responses to what do I do for a living? And apparently I don't describe it that well. So the thing that I typically like to say is I live on LinkedIn for a living. I used to be a typical content marketer back in the day, doing blogging, white papers, really anything, newsletters. And in the past 2 years, I've really focused specifically on helping brands grow their reach and mindshare on LinkedIn specifically. So I help mostly B2B tech brands and their executives build their LinkedIn presence.
I totally know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's always the thing, is like when you get into B2B, they're like, okay, I know that. And then you're like, wait, like people want you to do write stuff for them on LinkedIn. It's always kind of like one of those things of, if you have a lot of like friends who are at least like marketing adjacent, like they get it. But if you have a friends who are like me, like my wife and like my friend and my best friend and his wife, they're all like in medical, and it's just talking about doing stuff on LinkedIn, or, oh yeah, I like got a podcast, or we help people launch podcasts. And wait, people are like, I didn't know businesses paid people to like launch podcasts or do. So it's one of those things where it's like, I think I tried that like a few years ago. I need to do it again, but it was just like, you do something with LinkedIn, or like you go to Hobby Lobby a lot or something was like one of the things. So it was like,
it's funny. It's very unique to our world, and people outside of our world don't really get it or get how I can make a living, but I'm very grateful that I can. I was an English major and now I write for a living.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've been writing for a living for over 12 years now. So definitely really happy. And I think my parents are happy. At the time, they were like, what are you going to do with your life? Are you going to be okay? Are you going to be a barista forever? And now it's fine, guys.
Yeah, it's very interesting to think about like some of these things that maybe didn't exist like when we were in like high school or like college when we were thinking about that. Podcasting was like up and coming, but I never would have imagined I would be like working those kind of things. I'm super grateful for what I do, obviously, but it's just very interesting thing. Like, I work in like a job that is hard to explain to like your grandparents or your parents. And then it's also, some of this didn't really exist that long ago. So cool. Yeah. I feel like that's such a weird question to put in there, is because it's just one of those things of, we've got to have a simple way to explain it. And I know that nobody I really interview has a simple way of explaining what they do. So I kind of like that.
No, but I usually try to be like as unpretentious about it as possible. Cause like at the end of the day, I am a writer first and foremost.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is like, part cheerleader, part best friend, part sales, part marketing, but yeah.
I try to say that too. I try to just say I mostly write. I just say I write a lot. That seems to be the easiest thing, because when I get into like content strategy, they're like, I'm not even going to say that to anybody. Like, there's no one going to say content strategy to anybody.
I would never say that to anyone outside of our field.
Yeah. I said it to somebody who I thought would understand it, and they're like, oh, so you make like billboards or what? And I was just like, yeah, that's sure.
Right.
But that's interesting. So you went to school for writing?
I wanted to be a poet. I did slam poetry in college, and I was on the slam team. I won some awards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, nothing big. Like the most money I ever earned was like $200, but it was
That's
really
awesome.
fun. It was really fun. I got to go all around the country and go on stage. I'm a big performer, so it was like a great way to combine performance, which I love, and then also writing. So I
Yeah.
think there's not a lot of extroverted writers out there, and I'm one of those few. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's an interesting point because I can definitely see that. When you say extroverted writers, do you mean, I guess when we think of writers, do you think that a lot of like copywriters are also not very extroverted? Do you
I
get that?
think so. At least in my career, like I don't know, like we always did Myers Briggs at work or
Yeah.
other things, or there were like other versions of that test. And almost all the writers on the team were introverts. And I was always one of maybe two people who was extroverted. And as far as I know, most of the people who were like me transitioned to video. For me, I was just like, I like video. I do it somewhat, but really for me, just social in general is my way of combining interacting with people with writing. So
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
loves.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's funny, I think it just hit me like yesterday when I was getting this episode ready. I was like, Ghost Megaphone is like such a cool name. And I
Thank
was like, I
you.
really love when I was trying to come up with business names for my freelance stuff, like I wanted something that was around like Ghost because I really like the branding of Ghost, like the energy drink. And so I was want to like copy like some of their stuff, but there's already like a Ghost like marketing and Ghost kind of things out there. So I didn't land on a name still. It's probably been like 4 years. I'm still just going by whatever. But then I realized yesterday, I was, oh, 'cause she's like a ghostwriter. And
Yeah.
that's sort of what that means. I was just
And
like,
it's funny because so I love the name of my company, but I would possibly change it. So I started doing like mostly ghostwriting, and then I realized ghostwriting is hard, man. And so
yeah,
now it's mostly an add-on to like existing packages. I start with a company page and then I add on executives. But working with executives, I gotta say, like super hard. They don't have a lot of time. They
yeah,
have like high standards. So it's like you gotta price yourself right. Like to any ghostwriters out there who are like, how do I price myself? I would say the answer is more, higher,
mm,
more money, because it's always going to be like really in depth work. But yeah,
okay. Okay, so that's super interesting. I know this is going out of our
that's
the
fine.
normal conversation, but I love like the advice, like you're giving some
Yeah,
advice out to people who either currently ghostwriting or want to
yeah,
become ghostwriters, and I'm interested in that as well. So, what would be you're talking about how ghostwriting is? What's the difference in? I guess like you're writing for an executive or a CEO or something like that, and then also writing for the company page. Is it like
yeah.
writing for a company page? Is that also ghostwriting, or is that more?
I would just consider that just like regular social media
Okay,
marketing. But I would say the key is ghostwriting is more about like getting, yeah, that particular person's voice
okay,
versus like social media management. And I will
right,
also say that companies are a lot less, I don't know, nitpicky about what
mhm,
goes on the brand account than what comes out of their executive's mouth. And not just the executive in question. Like sometimes there's a whole team involved. I know that back when I started ghostwriting, I was working at TCG Player and I would basically ghostwrite for the owner of the company. And it would be like sometimes whole articles for like local publications. And it was the thing where like we would basically sit in a room and all work on it together, like and kind of like
yeah,
all get into it. So it's definitely usually a lot of work. I would also say the big thing for me is, does this person want to do this? Because I've worked with people before where like maybe the head of marketing was like, we should do this. Our executives need a bigger LinkedIn presence. And the executive had no interest in doing it. And that's when it's really hard because then they're not going to make the time for it. You
right,
need like a project manager within the organization to actually like basically like wrangle that CEO or that other person because it's very difficult for somebody external to do it. And then
yeah,
the other thing is that person has to have things to say. There are some people that I've spoken with who, when they speak, it sounds like they're reading from a script and they probably are really thinking very hard about, let me make sure I stay on message. But I will tell you that makes some of the most boring content in the world. So it's nice to speak with people who are like open and who have things to say. Recently, I was working with an executive. I can't say who it is because I'm
yeah,
his ghostwriter, but he honestly like has the most interesting stories. Like when I have a conversation with him, I already know this is gonna hit, this is gonna hit, this is gonna hit. There's no question. I don't have to put like a big spin on it. He already has great stories. So I'm just crafting things and making sure that they work for LinkedIn. But other than that,
yeah.
like he's got it. So that's what I recommend. If you're looking to do ghostwriting, those are the pieces that you need. You need firm buy-in, a good project manager, and an executive who actually has interesting things to say. Those are like the big three.
Two quick follow-up questions. First of all, that's really great advice. But going off on like the firm buy-in, if you don't have that buy-in and the company recognizes that it is a important initiative, do you work into where you're like, let's start with like employees and show the executive that things that we can get traction and that when employees are doing things and they're posting and then that kind of transfers to that? Or
that's a really smart idea. I usually not. So I do also provide like employee advocacy services where I help the team get more active. But no, I don't think I've ever used that to sell into an exec, which I think is a really good idea.
I was actually just validating because I had a meeting with somebody and we were talking about the same thing. And I was like, we want the exec to do it. They don't have time. They're not going to put the effort into it. And I was just wondering, what if we get like one or two of the employees to really be involved, and then all the CEO has to do is just share it, just like share the post for a while, and then they start seeing how important it is. And it also takes some of the heat off the CEO that the people within are also active and being their own, not thought leaders, but they're putting their own thoughts out there, and it lets other people see that the entire company is full of like experts.
I love that. I think that's a great idea, because honestly, getting that buy-in is sometimes hard. There are some people, for me personally, and this is just because I always have too much work, knock on wood. It's like a really good problem to have. I always have too much work. So I want the difficult part of my job to not necessarily be the selling part. That's just not my thing. I don't want to have to like sell people on the value of what I do all the time. Yeah. I want to just be able to focus my energy on doing a really good job and then iterating on like the strategy that I've come up with. But I totally get it. I think sometimes people do need that proof. And I guess like my whole strategy is just like trying to get people to understand that at scale, because I'm a content girly. Like, yeah. I don't want to have those one-on-one sales conversations. I want to be like shouting from the rooftops, this is why this matters. Here are these examples, and sharing those stories in a way that I get like a lot of inbound requests. So that's usually my kind of strategy, but it's also tough because those CEOs really need to be bought in.
Okay, that's super good advice. You mentioned like earlier that one of the part is like one of the biggest parts is like getting the CEO's voice and really sounding like that person, which I thought that was interesting because I would have gone into that thinking that the company page and the CEO voice would like match in some way. But you're saying that they're not like exclusively, like they're not mutually exclusive there.
Yeah. And I think they should be different. Like I think usually, and it depends on the company, but usually the company page is a little bit more buttoned up. It also depends entirely because, okay, here's an example. I used to create social content for Chili Piper. Chili Piper's company page could be really unhinged, really edgy, totally bananas. But then I also work for companies like Therapass that are like compliance and very like, since their product is compliance automation, it's like you have to be a little bit more buttoned up and professional. But the CEO there, and I don't write her posts, but she on her own, she can say things that are a little bit edgy on her own just to make sure that, and again, like that's her perspective and that's coming from her, not necessarily the company. Obviously she represents the company, but she has her own thing. And the way that I make sure that I get an executive's voice is just sitting down in an interview with them whenever possible, listening to if they're on podcasts, things like that. And the other thing that is just reading what they write. But I will tell you, a lot of people are not good writers. So I don't necessarily want to mimic their writing style. I try to mimic their speaking style, but then obviously change things so that they sound more cohesive and like the thoughts are a little bit more focused, but for the most part, that's my plan.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. This has been like the first 15 minutes of this have been like a master class, like a mini master class in like becoming a ghostwriter. That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing so freely. The purpose of this podcast is like I'm interviewing people who are way more talented and knowledgeable than I am, and I can ask all these like questions, and hopefully there's somebody else out there that's, hey, I was thinking that same thing, and we can get all the good. I think
it's brilliant. I've actually considered, and I might tap you for information later, I've considered doing a similar thing, because while I'm not like an expert at podcasts at all, I want to have more conversations with people who know about great content, and I totally love it.
It seems like it would also aid a little bit in trying to get the voice of the CEO. Like if you can get them to come on and do this for like this setting this up, including like the actual conversation we're having, if the conversation goes an hour, it takes me like an hour and a half a week to like do everything. But obviously like I could do some more promotion or whatever, but I'm just scheduling and making the graphic and scheduling the whatever, and then we go in here and talk. And so I feel like that'd be a pretty easy sell for a busy CEO if you can get an hour.
Yeah, if I can just get an hour of their time. No, I think that's a really good idea. And then it would just be like, but it's a secret that I'm writing for them. But it's not a secret that we spoke on this podcast.
Yeah. That's true. So we've talked about all the ins and outs of creating content for companies and being a ghostwriter. And so leads me to my next question, which is like, what is one philosophy or rule that you swear by when it comes to creating?
So social. And I know for the most part, a lot of brand people and content people are like, we need to fit things within these specific guidelines, within this specific strategy. Things have to be buttoned up. I am much more like, social media is your testing ground. It's the only place where you get an instant reaction from your audience. I guess except for maybe webinars or live streams like this, you also get instant feedback, but like you're getting this instant feedback and reaction from the people that you care about. And the cool thing is, if a post flops, there's a good chance nobody sees it or remembers it. The reach is going to be low. It's very low risk. And then you can just like really rebound from that pretty easily. Obviously, you don't want a bunch of flops. You don't want your strategy to be like so sporadic and crazy that it doesn't feel cohesive, or that like things come from your brand that feel like totally out of left field. But you can also be a little bit weirder and less rigid about your brand on social than you can maybe like on your blog or website or in a press release, or like these more like formal channels. And that's really why I love social so much, is that you really can be weird. And in fact, even in B2B, even on LinkedIn, and the fun thing about LinkedIn is that the way that like TikTok usually comes first with trends, and then people see it on Instagram later, like people my age, like millennials, see it on Instagram later. LinkedIn is like the last place to get the trends. So you can, even if you're like slow to jump on a trend, like by the time it gets to LinkedIn, you might be the innovator. So many people have been like, how are you so creative? And I'm like, oh, because I scroll on TikTok and I've just seen this thing before you did. So that's another piece of it, is you can be fun and it will be refreshing for people, I think.
That's such a good piece of advice, because like you said, like you can throw something out there. I mean, I posted something yesterday, they got like 23 impressions. Like, you know, I was like, okay, well that was really not as funny as I thought it was. Like I really thought that was funny, and it wasn't. So you know what? Like nobody will probably ever see it.
And it doesn't, as long as you're not, I always say, and I use humor a lot, and I would say same regular comedy rules, like just don't punch down. Don't punch down, and you can say pretty much anything. So as long as you don't say anything that's going to alienate or offend your audience, you're good. Like you can say things that aren't funny and nobody will remember. It's fine.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much out there that people are not like really digesting every single piece. Like I might read an entire post from somebody and have a thought, but I don't remember every single thing, or if there was like a bad joke they made that I didn't even realize because I was just reading it.
Attention.
Do you recommend, is LinkedIn like the first social media like playground? Should people, like B2B companies especially, should they be trying things on like, which I think we should, but is there an order of try it on Facebook first, and after you get like this audience, and then, or how do you recommend segmenting where things go?
So for me, like I pretty much just do LinkedIn. Like at this point, like Twitter, X, unless you've already built something there, it's really hard to build. Facebook and Instagram, other than Reels still do get attention. So usually I would say if you have vertical videos like worth a shot, put them over there. Same with YouTube Shorts. But again, not an expert at any of those channels. I just found that those are places you can still get organic reach. But LinkedIn and TikTok are the two channels where you can still get organic reach, like really good organic reach. And unfortunately, like there are people who do B2B TikTok really well. I have struggled. Like I've tried for multiple brands, and like you have to have like dedicated resources and people who are good at sketch comedy. I think of Will Aitken or Travis Tyler, or like people who are like, I'm going to be in the video. I'm going to be this face of this brand. I'm going to dedicate time to like scripting and doing sketches. So not just because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I can just upload these talking head videos from like my podcasts, my webinars, like whatever. And it's like TikTok is like its own world, whereas LinkedIn, you can do all of that. You
Yeah.
can repurpose all of your stuff really well. So yeah, B2B brands, I always say like LinkedIn is the number one and the place that you should be, other than like building, like as far as like rented channels, LinkedIn is the place.
Interesting. I guess that's what I'm doing here also.
Yeah.
Like I am live streaming to Facebook and
Yeah.
YouTube at the same
Yeah.
time, just because I'm just interested in
Why
seeing
not?
like how does it. Yeah. But I will say that all of the clips that I take from these episodes
Mhm.
do way better on Facebook, and then they
Yeah.
do way better on YouTube for
Yeah.
some, and I'm not even like really trying. I'm just uploading it as a
Yeah.
place to live. And
That's
it's
interesting.
interesting that, yeah, like a short on YouTube from one of these clips will do like 1,000 views, which is not
Yeah.
like crazy, but like for me
But
to not
no,
do anything but upload it.
consistent. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's funny, like that's another thing, like with a lot of this stuff, I got asked in a conversation the other day like about like virality and like how to make things go viral, and I was just like, "Oh, I don't even know how to answer this, cuz unless you're making money from views and unless you're making money from those impressions, that shouldn't be the goal. Like the largest possible audience shouldn't be the goal. And if you're getting consistently, especially like 1,000 views, like on every short, that adds up. If
If you
you
post
keep
one
creating
video a
content,
day, like you're getting
yeah,
7,000 views
exactly.
a week. That's a
Exactly. And I think, yeah, I think that's really the name of the game is like consistency. And as much as I'm like, I love unhinged stuff, it's like, I love unhinged stuff, but I also love a beautiful full calendar of repurposed
yeah,
content that was as easy as possible to make while getting the best possible value. Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the best. That's the best feeling.
Also, like virality is so like the tables have shifted. Like there's no like 100,000 views is like not viral
It's
anymore.
not.
A
Oh
million
no.
views is not viral
Oh
anymore.
no.
Like
And if you look at what goes viral, like sometimes it's like the AI slop that people are generating with where it's, oh, it's like cats making dinner or like
oh
I don't
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like like weird stuff. And again, like if your goal is views, or my favorite thing is because I'm still on Facebook because I have a lot of family
yeah,
members who are there. And I will look and there will be pretty much solely rage bait, and it's, oh, like these people just want the impressions, want the attention, want
oh yeah,
the all the money from all of that. And it's like in B2B, that's not the goal. We're not media companies. We're looking for people to buy the product at the end of the day. So my job, especially as a social media manager, is to sneak in like our messaging in formats that get attention. So like
mm,
I'm a big meme girl. And the reason I like memes is because you can tell people what you do without shoving it down their throats and without making it seem like it's like super promotional. So you can say something that like shows that you know your audience's pain in a meme very
yeah.
easily, because most memes like are darkly humorous. I think of it as like when parents put like vegetables in the kids' mac and cheese or like beans in their brownies. And it's like you're trying to give them something nutritious, but in a way that they actually want to consume. And
That's
that's really what I think about my job, like on social.
that is such a good way to think about it. Like, because this is
Yeah.
all the things that we're, even if we're not like those of us who work in content and marketing and writing, like even if you're not doing just social, that is such like that piece of advice you just gave works for everything, because it's all why
Yeah.
we're writing emails. Look, can we sneak in what we're trying to do and what we want to do without just being like, hey, what's up? You want to schedule a call today?
Yeah,
Like,
without just being so overt about it that
yes,
like, and like there are situations when directness is warranted, but like I would say like usually like I don't know. Not at top of funnel. Top of
right.
funnel is not the place to be that kind of direct. So
I
yeah.
mean, I would even go as far as to say that unless that person has went out and filled the form, and
Correct.
even then, they'll
Correct.
probably forget that they even did that, and you've got to still be in there being like very just a
Yeah.
reminder, like we're meeting. I'm excited for it. Here's some more. Keep warming you
Yeah.
up because I don't want you to get cold feet and not show up to my meeting. So
Totally, totally.
yeah,
I'm a big inbound girly. I work with companies who specialize in outbound, but I don't personally do outbound myself, so I don't know. That must be very difficult doing the sneak attack with an outbound, but I've seen it done before.
yeah. It's just like you said, like it's all about like we might send out 8 emails and not one of those had anything about scheduling a call or anything. It was literally just here's what's going on. I understand it. I made a video for you talking through what it's all about. Just like giving and way more until you
Yes.
ask, till you actually ask for something. And even
Yeah.
then, the ask might just be like, I don't know, just let me know. I don't really care. And then they're kind of like, oh well. you know what? I didn't know you were that chill, I'll definitely schedule a call,
And as soon as you say that you're that chill, or like, I don't know, it's so funny. Like people prefer that. Like
Yeah.
they don't want yeah, they don't want it. Like if you're too thirsty, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like
well, also,
it's
like, just
too
talk to them
late.
like they're a human. I think we forget, and I said this on the account-based beverages podcast. I go through and we'll read the emails that have been written in the past, and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna write a new sequence for somebody." Well, let me see what you've said in the past. And I'm like, you do know there's a person reading this, right? This is not like you're putting in your order at a kiosk at a McDonald's or something. This is an actual person that you've got to talk to, and
Yeah.
no wonder you haven't got any responses and all these unsubscribes. Like, there's a human on
Yeah.
the other side. You've got to be chill about it. Just like
Yeah.
sneak in there and say, hey, like, they visited your website once. They're not they're
Oh,
not.
that too. Oh my gosh. Back when I did like more traditional content marketing and like wrote ebooks, stuff like that. I was working at a company where they would call as soon as somebody downloaded an ebook. And one time somebody picked up the phone and was like, I didn't even read it yet. Like
Yeah,
literally what? You called me as soon as I downloaded it. Like didn't
yeah.
even get a chance to look at it. So I think, yeah, I think that's great advice, like understanding that there's a human over on the other end. So simple but so true.
It works. I don't want to brag on myself, but it does work. Just talk to somebody like
Just
there's a real
being a
person.
person, just being a person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Speaking of things that maybe haven't worked out the best,
Yes.
can you tell me about a piece of content or a campaign that you were like really passionate about, but
Ooh.
didn't go so well?
Oh my gosh, so many. So it's really, yeah, it's really hard. So it's hard to think about an exact, because I feel like a lot of my posts are like one-offs and flop all the time. Like I will tell you, I make a good living. I do good work for my clients. My posts flop all the time. So like all those things are true at the same time, and they all can be true at the same time. I did a stupid, so at close, we do motivational quotes every Monday. And I thought it would be really funny to sneak in a quote from somebody fake, who is Gavin Belson from Silicon Valley. And it just did not perform the way I thought it would. I thought it was the funniest joke. I was like, it looks real. It looks like some actual quote. I can't wait for people to cackle at this, and just nothing. So I think a lot of the time, like what's funny to you or what is not always going to be what's funny to your audience, even if technically there's overlap. And then also just, yeah, just you can't also let the flops prevent you from doing goofy things like that. Throw it out there. Like again, like as long as it's not off brand and it doesn't harm the brand, like you're fine. Nothing bad happened. I just was sad because I was like, I every time I post anything, even from brand accounts, I'm looking to connect with people. That is my, like, money is my payment, but my real payment is like that sense of connection with humans. It feels great. Like when a joke you tell lands, it's like the best feeling in the world. Or like when you
Oh
post
yeah.
something and people are like, oh my gosh, yes, this is so helpful. It feels so good. So it does hurt a little bit when things flop,
Yeah.
but no big deal.
I will say that like the things that you find funny is not what everybody else finds funny is like a lesson I think I have to learn like almost every day. I will be living off the high of you laughing at me saying I didn't know you were so chill. I'll live off that for a
Yeah.
while. So I appreciate that. But it is, I'm like interested. I wonder like why that quote didn't, because you would think that, although if you would have did like the Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott thing, like it
Yes,
probably would have,
that would have
like,
landed.
that was too simple. That's too easy though. Like you
That's
could
what
have.
I thought, but sometimes it's also funny. Sometimes what's too easy actually does work too. Like, because every time, so a good example is I use a lot of GIFs online, like a lot of just again, like I like to sneak in instead of just giving like a post that's here's a playbook. I like maybe doing a GIF of somebody's reaction to a cold email and then doing the playbook. And if I use Michael Scott, great,
Yeah.
does great. So there's some things like that where, yeah, maybe it's a little too niche. And I think because I live in this tech bubble where like I'm like, oh, everybody loves Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
It's everybody's favorite show. Every web developer puts Silicon Valley Easter eggs on their homepage. I'm like, all the
Oh,
brands I work for already have all these jokes on their website that are like hiding in there. But it's no, that's more like the tech people that think that's funny.
interesting. Yeah, you would think that would have. Yeah, which I've never seen Silicon
Oh
Valley,
my
so
gosh,
I.
you should
All
see
right.
it. It's so accurate. It's so accurate. There's this one quote that I love. This isn't the quote that I used, but the one guy who's supposed to be like the CEO of Google in this world, like essentially the equivalent of that. And he says, I don't want to live in a world where where other people are making the world a better place better than we are. And it's so funny because it's like there's always this rhetoric in tech that's like very grandiose and oh, we're like
Yeah.
changing everything and changing the world. And it's like he just is such a perfect character because he's like, I want the world to be a better place, but only if I am the king of
Right.
the world.
Yeah.
Only if I'm the king of the world. Not, yeah. So anyway, it's such a good
That's cool.
show. Highly recommend. Highly.
It's been around for a long time, right?
Yeah,
Like 10
it's really
years?
old. It's
Okay.
really old.
I'm
Yeah.
far behind. It's like if I started
No,
watching Breaking Bad right now, it would
it's
be
really,
like,
ooh, yeah, it's really old. No. Yeah, I'm on like my third rewatch now, so it's
okay.
very good.
Okay. We'll plug that. Like
Good,
definitely
good.
I probably need to be more into, and I'm probably gonna offend and segment a lot of my audience, but I don't watch Ted Lasso, and I also don't get like I know, I'm sorry.
That's
I've watched
okay.
I think I've watched 3 or 4 episodes on a plane, whatever episodes were available on a plane, and that's all I've ever seen. So
Oh my
I
goodness.
am
It's funny, I was wondering what you were gonna say after that you were gonna offend your audience, and then you said Ted Lasso, and I was like, "Oh my god, no," because it's Ted Lasso is such like a universally beloved show, and like the character is so beloved.
yeah.
Um,
I don't hate it. I just had never watched it, and after I got off the plane, I never had the desire to watch
of
the
the
rest of
earth.
it. So, yeah, I don't know. But again, that's one of those things. Like the things I like are not what everybody else likes.
Not
So
always. No, no. And I think that's part of it too, is like I try to stay up on cultural trends, even if they don't apply to me, if they apply to my audience. I think one of the things that I struggle with is especially like working with so many sales tech companies, some of their brand voices skew a little masculine, some of their brand references skew a little masculine. So I have to just educate myself on things that I normally wouldn't like be into or
you just have
watch.
to go watch like 100 Old Spice commercials.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
realize,
pretty much, pretty much. Like this is what men like. Yeah, what is yeah, like focus more on yeah, not not just the jokes I think are funny, but like what does this particular subset of an audience? And it's funny too cuz like different the like not even every sales tech company I work for has the same demographic breakdown of their audience. Like even if they technically sell into like similar accounts or like similar, what hits for the brand is sometimes very different.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice for everybody to remember. Like you can't just copy what somebody else is doing, or
No,
like even copy what the
correct.
10 most popular people are doing, because that doesn't always work. And people
Correct.
have different goals at different levels. I was
Yes.
listening to I can't remember exactly what it was, just like some YouTube video about like personal development or something, but they were just talking like if you're like copying what somebody who is at like the highest level is doing, it's like trying to run a marathon before you've even learned to walk. Like you have they have different goals at that level. And the person who was talking was like, for example, I'm not trying to grow any of my social platforms. I'm working on scaling and monetizing the business that I currently have within the platform. So if you're looking at what I'm doing and hoping that you can copy it and grow your social platforms, it won't work, because that's not what I'm doing. Just because I'm at this. So, and I know that's like a very
No,
light example, but I
I
think
love
it's
it.
things that people forget. Like, you know, at every level, somebody's like, this is what this person is doing, so we should do something like that. Instead, it's like, we don't even know what they're like. Does that match our goals? We don't even know what they're trying to accomplish.
Ooh, I love that. I love that so much. And I don't know why I haven't used that as an argument before. And I'm gonna steal it because like for a while, so back in the day, the big one was Gong, and everybody would be like, "Hey, can't we be more like Gong? Can't we do this? Can't we do that?" And my argument was always like, their ARR is like a billion times higher than ours, and their resources are greater. So one of the great things about their content is that they have so much original data that they take like from their own product, that they use that in their content. And I would work at places where we didn't have that data, or we didn't have the ability to share that data like in our content, and it's not going to work. It's not. I was just like logistically I was like it's not going to work, but then like also it's but even if we could do it, why would we do it? Is a really good point. Like why what is the goal here, other than just people see something they like and are like, oh, I wish that were what we were.
Yeah, it's like you see,
God.
because they saw it, it means that like other people are seeing it and you liked it, and I want to do that too. And it happens to all of us. It's why I don't have a website, because I can't like finish making mine, because I'm looking at what other people's looks like, and I'm like, oh, I like theirs now, and I want to like make mine look like that now. And then I don't even have a name yet. I keep thinking of cool names. I wanted to use your name, but you already had it. So I'm going to figure out something else.
Yep. Yeah. And I think, no, I don't know. With stuff like that, I just try to make small decisions and then just continue to, I change
Yeah.
my mind all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and that's fine too.
Well, we've kind of went down the rabbit hole of like what works and what hasn't worked. And so I want to give you this space to kind of brag on yourself a little bit. So I'd love
Ooh.
to know about one campaign or project that you're especially proud of and what made it work.
All right. So I'm very sad because this isn't even like a campaign, but just the entire Chili Piper social account. I ran it for about a year and a half and I was so proud of it. And there are a few things that made it work really well. One was that the entire team was behind social. So I wasn't on this island even as a fractional person. I was working with them for 10 hours a week, which sounds like a lot of time, is not a lot of time at all to get content out every day, to have creative ideas, to be at team meetings. Like it's not a lot of time.
Yeah.
And we had such collaboration and we had a Slack channel where I forget what it's called. I'm probably still in it. They probably forgot to remove me, but basically it's a channel where just all the creative ideas are shared. Like we all just jump on. And what was great about it is that like I wasn't alone in coming up with ideas. There was always something. We also had hired Will Aitken, who is brilliant, and he and I would have brainstorming sessions like once a month. And he would teach me how to be a meme master because he's incredible. Like, he's not. He thinks about memes totally differently than like I do usually. I try to back into a trend, whereas he is like proactively looking at sources for memes that B2B is not familiar with. He'll look at just like regular memes of the crusty, weird internet, like folders, and he'll find things that are like not trending yet, but that would work for something. And just being able to like collaborate with him and figure out his process and then just learn how to do that myself was really cool. And I think what I'm most proud of with the Chili Piper account was that, and granted, I inherited it after it had already had several brilliant owners. Dan Schmela, who owns it now again, Oli Arias, like a lot of people who were like really brilliant. So when I inherited it, it was already great. And all I had to do was maintain and then do weird things to make it even better. As I was growing, it was like, I already have this great audience. And the thing that made me so proud was that people would constantly tag our page as an example of B2B brands that were doing fun things.
Yeah.
They've been mentioned in like articles. Like there's been like all of this like kind of buzz about, how cool the brand is. And like, it was really fun to be able to make an impact, even though it was such a small percentage of my time. It was such a big, such a big thing. There were good things. And like I said, everybody there was brilliant.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wonder, maybe that's how I connected with you from that as well.
I don't know. Probably. They're like one of the coolest brands that I've worked with. And not only that, but I'm very lucky because working with them also got me a lot of my other jobs. But what's really funny is that people would be like, oh, I love Chili Piper's brand, but nobody wants to take those kinds of risks. So I think that not nobody. Yeah. So I work at Close now and I work with Chelsea Castle, who used to work at Chili Piper. And like, she's totally down for having fun. So I pitch my weird ideas to her all day. She just is very sensible and she doesn't want things to be quite as crass and edgy as Chili Piper was. But
that's exactly what it's like here. I'll send something to Evan, who is our internal marketing person. I'll be like, dude, next time that you're around Mason, you should do this. And he'll be like, he'll just say, what is this? And that's it. And I'll be like, all right.
That would hurt my feelings so much. Oh my God. What is that?
Evan's usually my testing ground for something. And he'll just be like, you've got to explain that one to me. I don't know.
For sure. And I think like, it's always nice to have those people to say, let you know where the line is, let you know what makes sense. But it
was, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's the video. I've seen it used in much different templates where it's you're like pretending to walk by somebody and you bump into them and the person's, if you bump into me again, I'll let you know who I am or something like that.
Yeah.
And they bump into them and they turn around and they're holding like a dog and they're like, we adopt, dog or whatever. Like, and I sent that to Evan. I think it'd be awesome if you did that with Mason, but I don't know. We'll see.
At
Maybe
least I didn't want to.
yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, we'll have to see next time we're all together
That's
if
amazing.
we can do that. So,
Oh,
but that's awesome, and I think it's also really incredible because I just mentioned that I can't remember how that we've connected. I just have
yeah,
known you from I see your posts all the time,
yeah.
and I believe I usually try to engage with them if I don't show my
Aw,
appreciation. But I think it's just very impressive that as a ghostwriter, you're relatively unknown in a way
yes.
because you're
Yeah.
not the face of anything, but you've been able to make a career out of it, but also like you have your own brand that is also carrying a lot of that. And I think that's
Okay.
also really cool. And also just a reminder for us that having your own personal brand is super important because you're not
It's
always the face
important.
or going to be asked to be the face of something.
Correct.
Um,
Oh, yeah, you have to, and I think a lot of people aren't comfortable bragging, and I think that's the thing, like, I'm an only child, I'm a performer, I'm a karaoke DJ in my free time, like, I am a loud and proud person, so I'm very much, "Oh, I'll tell you about all my accomplishments, don't
yeah.
worry, I'll tell you," and I hope that it doesn't always come off as bragging, because like, usually it's not just me, so I make sure to shout out all the people that helped me with
Yeah.
things, because like, I don't work on my own in a silo. But I'm not afraid to talk about what I do all the time. And sometimes that's all it takes. Like at the beginning of this year, I posted like a couple of times about things I was working on and got so many inbound messages because it was like, oh,
Yeah.
beginning of the year. And sometimes people are just like, oh, we need this. Oh, we saw this person talking about this thing and these are the brands she works with. We like those brands. Okay, let's like message her. And so like I don't know. It never hurts.
No.
Never
Yeah. Yeah.
just
I mean,
talk about what you do. Just
yeah, self-advocacy is super
baseline.
important.
Yeah,
Like, that's
baseline.
how I got this job. That's
Yeah.
how I worked for Scrappy AM.
Awesome.
I
Oh,
literally like I mean, I was already friends with Mason already, so that
yeah,
helps.
yeah.
But like I had just posted on like LinkedIn. I was like, hey,
Yep.
like, Chris, like the November, December was like the holidays are coming up. If you've got some projects you want to wrap up by the end of the year, let me know. And I think that was when Mason messaged me. He's like, dude, can you like, would you be willing to help me do a few things?
I
And
love
it's
that.
just like, yeah. And I've had that with I've heard this bit of advice, and I think people like often brush it off because it sounds too easy. Because it's like if you have past clients, reach out to them again and ask. And I think people, well, I thought that too. Like, oh, well, if they need me, they'll reach back out. But
Not
I
always.
just did that
Yeah.
one time. Yeah, when I was doing freelance stuff all the time, I just reached out to a client and I was just like, hey, like I know that you are doing this, but I've gone full time freelance now. So if you have more, and they're like, yeah, actually, we have like 4 accounts that we would love to have you like work on. And I was just
Yep.
like, there you go. That was like an
Yeah.
entire year's worth of work by just reaching out to one
Yeah.
person. So yes, I
Ooh, I
definitely need
like
to be better
that.
about self advocacy.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I like that a lot. And then also just like the power of asking and the power of just like, yeah, just putting it out there. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is something I'm looking for. And yeah, and it can really work. And yeah, you're not going to get it if you don't ask. So,
Yeah.
and a
That's
lot of
true.
people need help. A lot of people need help. And that's, I think, why I don't really get bummed out about like rejection or about anything like that. Cause there's always so many people who need my help. And like the minute that it doesn't feel like it's aligned, I'm like, oh, that's okay. Or I'll usually proactively leave, but I'll at the same time, I'm like, that's fine. If it worked at one point and now it's not, it's a different need. Because especially with a lot of the companies I work with, usually who's in charge changes several times. There will be like weird turnover and promotions, and just it gets to the point where usually I'm not even reporting into the person that originally hired me.
Yeah.
For any client that I've been with for over a year, it's usually 4 to 5 different people that like I've started to report to. So like sometimes it's just not there, and I'm like, oh, that's fine. I'm sure I can help somebody else. Or like you
Yeah.
said, if you haven't worked with a client in a long time, you don't know. Like they might not reach out to you. The person that you used to work with might not even be in the role that would hire you. Like they might just be able to connect you with the right person.
Or they
So
assume that you're too busy. That was how that one went. It was just
yeah,
they assume you're too busy.
yep,
And I don't know if you do this, but if I get I don't look at like the no, not right now, or we'll keep you in mind kind of
yeah,
email as like a rejection. But I always try to
yeah,
follow up and be like, okay, cool. Thanks for just replying to the email. Is it cool if I reach back out to you in 3 months? Like asking those kind of things just to set that,
yeah,
hey, I'm going to reach back out again and see. I'm not going to mark you as until
no,
you've absolutely said we'll never hire a freelancer or
no,
whatever it is again. I always try to
yeah,
like make those kind of things. I think it makes the conversation, it makes it feel a little bit more like professional. If you're like, okay, is it cool if I reach back out in a few months? It also just seems like you're serious and interested in helping them. I think it just helps cement in their mind that like you are there and ready to help them when they are
that you're like
open.
a consistent, reliable person. Because a lot of the time, it sounds really bad, but like the bar is sometimes really low. And if you have a skill and you are reliable and you communicate well, like sometimes that's all it is. It's that simple. But yeah, like to your point, close was like that for me. Like we talked earlier in the year, they basically just like things changed at the organization and they were like, oh, we actually aren't going to start this initiative right now. So we'll let you know later. Or I thought it was a no. I think Chelsea said something like, oh, we're going to do this internally. And
Yeah.
then a few months later, she was like, hey, so do you have availability still? And I'm like, I do for you. And I was like, anything for you, girl, because she's brilliant. She's one of the, I always try to work with people also who are like super smart, who I can just learn a lot from, even as I'm like bringing my own skills as a consultant, I also just want to be always learning. So yeah, she was one of those people where I was like, I am so glad that this was not an unofficial closed loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was just it ended up just being a not right now. And yeah, it's super fun. It's where I put all my wacky Chili Piper energy now. So
Yeah. That's
and
awesome.
yeah.
I love you said it's not a closed loss. It's just like a not right now. And I think that's also like one of the things people get hung up on is like a not right now can sometimes just be like can we talk later? And it's like important to keep that going. Like obviously not annoy them, but just be like, cool, is not right now mean in 3 months I can check back in? Like, or you've got a different, I mean, also like you've got a different budget or you've got something else going on. Like, I think it's important to not fully like ever, and if you do mark somebody closed loss, like at least know why, so that you have intention for if you have a new offer or you have a new ability or something, you can bring back up and be like, I know that you didn't want to work because we didn't offer video, but now we do you want to, can we have a conversation again? So I think it's important to not ever try and just completely just mark somebody off just because they've said not right now.
No, and you never know who you're going to work with. Like it's actually funny, the number of people I interviewed with like years ago, like 2021, 2022, who didn't accept me for those jobs, but have hired me since, like fractionally, like I think 4 or 5 people. So like it's not, I think a lot of the time it really is a not right now. And sometimes people I think take rejections like that very personally. And it might just be that you don't have the right skill set or the right expertise right now. For some of those cases, it might just be that I needed too much money for a full-time role, but they could afford me fractionally. So like some of that, like you never know. You never know. Keep those relationships going. Don't be pissed off and don't shoot yourself in the foot because you quit too early.
It's not that deep. Sometimes it really is.
Especially for us because we're not saving lives. So it's
it's kind of like, it was just an email that didn't get it's all good. They probably honestly they were probably like in the middle of eating lunch and they were just like, I'll do it later. Like I'll do it later. We've all been there.
Exactly.
I'm going to end with the question that I ask everybody, and I think this always brings out some of the most interesting answers, but I would love to know what hill that you will die on when it comes to content.
Oh gosh. And I think I already said my answer for this.
Yeah, I think we've gone in and out of
it, but I test the weird thing. Don't be afraid to try things that are different. Don't be afraid to pull from sources of inspiration that might be different. So I watch a lot of TV. I scroll on TikTok. Like you don't have to steal your ideas from other people in B2B. Like you can take them from completely other places. So like I just started doing for clients, Netflix will do, or HBO will do like screenshots of their of a stand-up special with some funny lines and then the person's face. I've just been doing that for sketch videos, or Close has a series. It's Will versus Jen with Will Aitken, and I'll do like Will Aitken's face and people know who he is. So he's almost like a little celebrity in our community. So like pulling ideas from other places and just, don't be afraid to test stuff. Don't overthink it.
That's a great piece of advice because I've got a lot of video ideas that I've been working on that are like definitely things that I saw on YouTube shorts that I thought were really funny. And I was like, I could squeeze that in. I was telling one of our coworkers this morning about an idea they had. I was watching like a science video that was about gravity. And I was like, I thought of a totally awesome like way to like relate that to like B2B. And I don't have well, it's back there, but I've got one book that I've been reading that's about Akira Toriyama, who's a manga creator. And every time I'll read like through, I'll just take a picture and be like, this is a really good thing that I can put on LinkedIn. And so I actually went and got another, it's like a super bit, it's like a novel written in like manga style by the artist. And I'm like, I could probably read through this and find some really good inspiration for stuff. Because a lot of it is like, I put out like 10,000 comics and nobody liked them, but the 10,001 somebody really liked, and that's how it became famous. And it was like one of those things. So it's like there's all kinds of inspiration for things like all over the place that you can make. And I know that kind of sounds annoying. It's like everything is, I'm going to turn everything into content, but really, if you were like trying to be a creator, like you've got to pull from everywhere. You can't just read a bunch of business books and regurgitate those things. You got to find it in weird like science videos, or you got to find it in the music that you like, or in memes that you create, or whatever, some weird collectible thing you have. There's all kinds of ways to do that without, and then you come out seeming like the most creative person out there just because you decided to step out of the LinkedIn box, you know?
For nothing. So I am like a singer. So a while ago, I made these videos where I got these really terrible cold emails and I sang the cold emails. And that's how a lot of people got to know me. That was like a few years ago, and some people still bring it up to me. And so I think also just like, take whatever weird skills you have that might not be marketing and use those to get that kind of attention, because it's awesome. Weird. People just need, we're all just people. Share who you are, be yourself.
Have you seen the ones where people read like Craigslist like messages? They like sing, or like Facebook Marketplace messages?
Oh my God, no, but I have to look that up because Facebook Marketplace I'm obsessed with.
I too. I spend all day, like I have the worst luck on Marketplace too. Like
really?
I'm always just wondering, like, do these people have they never communicated with another person before?
They
like,
never have. Like,
that's what I always think.
If you sell stuff on there, the number of people who reach out to you who are not interested and they are just just tire kickers for your junk. I
have a bad rule. It's kind of rude, but I will set up a time for two people to meet to buy something because I know one person will just never show up, and it works every time. It works every time.
It's not even, you will always only get the one. It's just, it's weird. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's funny.
Thank you so much for coming on. I know we're at the top of the. Honestly, my very first question, I forgot to ask it, was do people like make Steve Irwin jokes to you all the time? Is that like a common thing?
I have to, and I also have to always say Erwin with an E. Like every time that, like if I'm like going to vote and they're like, what's your name? Or I'm going wherever, I have to always say Erwin with an E because otherwise people do not know.
I usually get the like Rick Grimes thing and I have to be like, he's not real, right? Like I'm a real person. He's not a real, that's a fictional character. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. And thank you everybody else for joining in. I hope you guys found as much value and entertainment from my interview with Kate as I did. I'm already like thinking like I've got to have her on again because I've got so many other questions I want to ask.
Ask me all the questions.
Thank you for coming on and freely sharing and giving us all like a little piece of your day. We all appreciate it. I know I do. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week.